Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Both Mom and I are really excited that you can join us this week, and we're super excited. We are welcoming back Pam Rivers. She was on episode 208 with us, where we talked about plant medicine microdosing. So we're excited to have her back and see where her journeys have led us since then. So, welcome back, Pam.
Thank
Yeah,
you. It's good to be with you guys again. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you. So, what have you been up to since we last talked to you? We talked a little bit off air, and it sounded like you've just had a lot of journeys that you've been going into. So, do you want to talk about kind of how
Yeah.
your journeying has gone?
Yeah. Probably like you all, there's this path that just keeps emerging for us, right? And you just kind of keep going forward with where it's leading. And I feel like that's a lot of the energy that I've been in. And we talked some last time about the kind of ancestral dinner with the dead events that I was doing, and I was doing quite a few of those, and kind of pulled back, and that work is more happening on an individual level with people with what I call the deep dive, which is with plant medicine. It's a medium to high dose experience. So it's what people, when they think about psilocybin or magic mushrooms, it's like the tripping kind of journey. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Uh, so that's been what I've been doing primarily is the deep dives, the one-on-one, and then continuing with the microdosing programs for people, and both having astounding effects and experiences, and realizing how much it's interesting, like a client that's doing a deep dive journey, how my me being there and getting to be the guide with them, how much I've learned that your lessons are my lessons and my lessons are your lessons. Like we're all in this together. So people will have these like amazing experiences and I feel like I learn from their journeys, right? And vice versa. So it's been interesting just the continued growth that I have, and I feel like with every client I learn more, I get better at what I'm doing, and I'm just like expanding, 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 and like following the next lead, like I'm not planning too far in advance and it's just unfolding, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
that's a really good feeling when it just starts to unfold for you like that, right? Because it's
Mhm.
almost like it's just the next right step, and we're being pushed by whatever your belief is that this is the road that I need to be traveling down. So I think that's a cool thing that that's happening for you.
It really is. And I feel like I've learned to listen to that more, right? To not, and I was telling you before we started recording, I took a trip to Ireland a few months ago that was really, really profound. And I had recently found out that I did my DNA thing, and I found out, which I do with in the dinner with the dead, I would have my clients, if they wanted to, get their DNA read so that, when we're connecting and inviting the dead people to the dinners, maybe there's some specific people we want to invite, right? And so got to practice what I preach. So I did mine too. And I had been resistant for a long time to do the DNA thing because I'm like, oh, they're going to have all my information. They have all my information anyhow. So it doesn't matter at this point. I think that probably mattered 10 years ago. So I did my DNA, and I knew I was Irish through my paternal bloodline, but I'm 48% Irish. I had no idea it was that much. So
Wow.
I went to Ireland, and I did that journey. It was truly a journey. It was one of the most profound journeys I've had because I did this thing about like following the lead. I didn't plan things. I didn't go sightseeing and see all the, I did see a couple things that like you're like the cliffs of Moher, and yeah, I saw, but really I didn't plan, and I just did this thing of like following the lead of whatever the moment was presenting. Even when I was exploring Dublin, I didn't plan anything. I would just start walking and just
See where you ended up.
go where I went. So it was a really different mindset. And I find the same kind of mindset with this work, right? I'm just going where it's leading me. And I don't know where that is. I don't know what this will be in 3 months, 6 months, a year. Isn't that interesting?
That is
it is.
interesting.
Because you know something's coming, though. You have that feeling, you know that there's something up, and this next change is going to happen. And I guess that also gives us excitement because we want the change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so exciting because it's also, there's a newness. There's something fresh that I feel all the time. And as I'm going through, I feel like I go through phases in this. And I actually had a reading with a medium when I was in Ireland, and that was interesting. It was, and so some of the things I just re-listened to it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, damn, he was good, right? Like some of the stuff. And one of the things that he picked up on that I didn't even say was I had like this thing with wildlife. I have some thing happening, and it's been for a few years, but it just keeps intensifying with wildlife, like encounters with wildlife. And I feel like with the mushroom work, it's connected in that because my clients will often have that. Like my last client last weekend, the morning of her journey, she went for a walk and she saw an owl in the day right there, like close. And she was just blown away. She's like, oh my God. Because, you know, you don't usually see owls during the day, right? And
Too
she saw it.
often.
You don't usually see owls. So she's blown away. She comes here. We start, I go pick her up. We start. She takes the medicine. And often after people take the dose, we'll take a little walk if they want to. And I live on a dead end road. So we'll like walk to the end of the road and walk back because it's just kind of nice to have a little stroll in there. So we're coming back from just walking at the end of the road, and there is an owl, another owl right
Wow.
there, like on the side of the road, just looking at us. And we're just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So we stayed there, and the owl did not move. And it's doing the 360 head thing, like all the way around. It was so, so wild. And it didn't go anywhere. I'm like, we got to get you back because if this starts kicking in, I can't carry you. You know, like we got to. So we had to disturb the owl. The owl wasn't going anywhere. And so I said to her, right as we're walking, I said, what would you, I want you to name the owl. Who's the owl? And she named it Henry. And that owl was in her journey. The
Oh,
whole
Wow.
journey, this owl was in there and was literally carrying things away from her that she didn't need anymore. And so
Wow.
isn't that amazing? Okay, it gets better. So then we go for a walk that evening after she comes out of the medicine. We walk to the end of the road. We're walking back, owl feather. I've never found owl feather. That there was a big owl feather, and we could see this. It was an owl feather. Never have I found, never has she found an owl feather, find an owl feather. Next day, and so we're just both just like, ah, you know, the next day it comes back for our integration session. Walk to the end of the road, a second owl feather.
Wow.
wow.
Isn't that
Meant
wild?
to be. Yeah.
That was meant to be, boy, I'll tell you.
Wild.
Yeah.
And then so this is the wildlife thing. And then 2 summers ago, I had 8 face-to-face encounters with coyote. Face to face, like they look at my eyeballs and I'm looking at their eyeballs. How far have I had one? Never since. In 1 summer, I had 8. So this, what I'm saying is like, I don't know, something comes through me, right? And then this wildlife component and how it comes into the journeys with people and it comes into the work. I can't, but that medium had said something about it. I can't quite explain or even know what that really means or is, but it's
Could it
something.
be, could it be their totem? Like we all have a totem animal, right? Or some of us have two. And
It's for
maybe
that one.
that's what it was saying that's your totem animal. It
Yeah.
carries with you, right?
Yeah.
Cool. That's
Even
cool.
be like the frequency of it. I don't
Mhm.
understand why. I mean, I love it, but like just the amount of that kind of thing is real. I've never had that in my life where it's just the amount of these wildlife cool stories. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Well, you're
yeah.
probably more open to it now, right? And this is part of your journey now, is
Yeah.
because you are becoming open to it. Now all this different wildlife is coming in. I know I said to my husband, we're going away on a trip, and I'm like, I better see bears because I'm telling you, they're my thing, right? And where we're going, there's lots of bears. So I'm
Ah,
so excited because
Yeah,
I love that connection with with the wildlife that way, right? And I think
right.
in that case with the owls, it's like here's here's your message that I'm with you. Now I'm going to be part of your journey, and now I'm leaving you a gift to say that I was with you. Now you can remember me, I guess. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
wild.
true.
it's crazy. Yeah. So I always joke with clients before I said, You're gonna think I like pay the wildlife to come and do something because inevitably something happens." Yeah, it's
Right.
amazing.
That's
Yeah. So
neat.
yeah,
So
but
did you feel an instant connection then with Ireland when you kind of stepped off the plane and got onto the land?
I I did. I felt this very interesting, different sense of home. It really felt like home, and Dublin, I landed in Dublin and it was really interesting. There was this church that the first day hadn't slept in 24 hours. You know how that is, and you're just kind of half there. And I just started walking and I ended up at this church, and then I got lost a little while later and I ended up back at the same church. And I kept this church, right? I kept and then I got these like little waves of familiarity through my time there. Almost almost like a remembering. Like
Deja
there
vu kind of.
yeah, there was just
Yeah.
like, huh. And then at that church, I actually wrote a piece about this at that church that I kept bumping into. The next day, I went to that church and there was this woman there praying heavily, and I was just drawn to her. And so I waited for her and she was leaving. I'm like, "Can I talk to you?" She's like, what? I mean, I just wanted to talk to her. And we ended up talking for 2 hours, or she did.
Wow.
And she was very kind of like the old Catholic with a little paganism woman. And we looked similar. And I felt this strange kinship with her. And she literally said to me at the beginning, she said, "I have so much to tell you." It was, yeah. And we both were, well, first, I wasn't even going to come to this church today. And I'm like, "I'm so glad you did." So, like, things like that, I would meet these people and it would be just this amazing encounter. And same with places. I just like followed the lead. I just kept, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to keep going forward. And it always like led to somebody or something. And it was a good lesson for me in life and in this work too, that sometimes if we're able to, and I think some of it's my phase in life developmentally, like when you're 30, you got to plan a lot more, right? Got your career's kind of in front of you. Maybe you have kids. I don't have any of that now. So I can be free and follow leads that aren't necessarily mine in a very different way. And I'm so glad. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm so glad I'm not young. I love, I love the freedom of not being young anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, being able
Yep.
to do what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Embracing the time that you're here, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And living
That's
differently. Yeah. And I find that the parallels between the journey work with clients and like how that unfolds and how my life parallels that in some ways. And, as I said earlier, the learning that I have from my clients and the messages that they get in their journeys, that I'm always like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay, I'm going to take that in too." That it's like ours. Everything is ours. Yeah, yeah. It's
So do you
not,
find that as you're going on your path here and doing these different journeys and being led different places and getting this kind of organic information, do you find that it's leading you into what your path is as a healer and a teacher and a
I
student
do.
of life?
Yeah. Yeah. I really do. And I feel like well, it's interesting. It gets bigger. I feel like it's clearer, but also that thing of I can't see very far ahead. I can't see very far ahead, and so maybe it's teaching me so much more presence right? With the right now, because I don't feel like I can see very far into the future, which is interesting. But I feel this, I feel like I'm an instrument, and I feel like what is coming through me gets more, gets bigger, gets sometimes, I don't want to say scary, but a little overwhelming and a little bit, I feel cautious sometimes about talking about some things because it's like, this stuff sounds crazy, you know? Uh,
I
it
just had that
does.
conversation the other day.
You do. Yeah, it does. And then like with you all here, and then I'm like, okay, it's okay if it's crazy. It is. It's not, but it's like this stuff is, it's otherworldly, right? It just is. And um yeah, I can't I can't ignore it, and I can't not do what I need to do. Um, but I've had some really wild experience like yesterday and today. I'm sitting outside on my where I sit and have coffee every morning. Yesterday, this a bat in the day comes out and it's dive bombing me. And I ran inside, the bat followed me to my door. And I ran in and shut the door. I'm like, what the hell? Same thing today. I don't even know what that is.
That was yesterday for
Oh,
me. But that's funny. I was coming out of the garage and all of a sudden the bat came out and I thought, that was a freaking bat. And it was in the daytime too. And I thought, that was definitely a bat. You can tell the difference, right? So that's weird. So maybe there's some,
Ew, interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not a typical thing.
no. First time I've ever seen it.
I know. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like that. So then I find myself tuning in and listening more, right? Instead of just disregarding, oh, a bat, right? Like I'm like, what? Is there something more here? You know, and I feel with my clients too. I was meeting with a client today too, and he was telling me about this dream that he had, and it's it keeps staying with him. And I said, well, then just like keep listening to it, and maybe and I feel this like sometimes dots appear after the fact. You're like, oh, and you connect things, and so I maybe down the path, even for both of us with the bats, like maybe something will come that'll be like, okay, I got it, because it feels like messages
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I would take from it because when you guys are talking, it's like because they kind of have that radar and they it's a lot by the hearing, it's like are you guys listening to the things and the messages that are coming to you right now,
Yeah.
especially unexpected, right? Because they don't show up in the day. That would be totally what I
That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because here's another one. See, this is why I sound like a crazy person. On Saturday, I do. I sound like you're gonna go, this is really, and this is my life. So sad because the bat thing connects. I think that you're onto something. Um, Saturday, midday, like around 1 in the afternoon, suddenly my vision got really blurry. Never have I had that before. It was really blurry, and I was supposed to go somewhere that evening. I'm like, I don't want to drive. It feels really blurry. Sunday it was still blurry, and then now it's gone almost all the way. And I didn't feel like it was a medical thing. I felt like the message was you need to see clearly, right? So when you're saying that about the bats and about listening, and you know what I mean? So maybe that's what the messages are when I combine those two things. But it
Yeah.
is like listening to these things that may be so strange, or that are synchronicities, or that are out of the ordinary, or dreams, all of those other ways of experiencing and listening. The
Mhm.
more we tune in, the more we get, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
I think you're right. And I think too, an important message of what you said with us is, not looking so far into the future. I think that a lot of us do that. Like, I mean, it's okay to dream and stuff, but I think when we live and just be present, we become so much more open to the paths that we're supposed to be going down, whatever they may be, right? And then you can hear and feel those pushes more.
Yes, you're exactly. Um, and it is, it's that presence and not living in the past or the future, right? And trying to just be like in the now. And as we tune in, and I feel like the mushrooms are such a huge portal to this, both microdosing and deep dive. And I know that's a big part of why I'm where I'm at right now with
Right.
feel pretty tuned in. And I feel like I get a lot of stuff. And the mushrooms are a portal for that. And I see this same thing happening with my clients to varying degrees. And this man, the husband of a client, the wife kind of sent the husband my way. It was pretty funny. But he said today, I do a little meditation at the beginning of our sessions and have people, after we do some grounding, listen for a word or a phrase coming from inside. And so the word that he got was engage. That was the word he got. And what he said, it's similar to what you're saying, was it, when he expanded on it, it was pausing with people and having like real eye contact and feeling the connection and like doing that in an overt way personally so that he is connecting more authentically even with the cashier at the grocery store, like wherever it is, but that to engage in the moment fully. So it's again, it's like one of the portals for work with the mushrooms that becomes more accessible and more open. So these kinds of things come to people more frequently, and we're able, I know for me, it's helped me to develop and strengthen and be more of a conduit for all of these kinds of things. Yeah,
So when
it's
you do the micro with the mushrooms, does it slow you down then? Like I'm a pretty hyper person, so it doesn't slow you down. So it doesn't sort of put you in a state where you just let things flow easier.
not yes and no. So with the microdosing, you're taking such a small amount that you don't feel really different. You
Okay.
might feel like people start to feel sometimes there's better, I mean, often there's better focus, creativity. Some of these things you become kind of sharper, but you start to open in these ways. Um, there's a grounded confidence that frequently people get. This man that I'm thinking of, the client today, he had experienced relationships. One of his things was that it felt kind of transactional. So he's really wanting to deepen. So when he got that engage word and this eye contact and really like, drop in and be with the person, that's exactly what he needs. And it's very interesting because the mushrooms, there are these common denominator portals, but they ultimately kind of make you a better version of yourself. They bring out more of who you are and these access points that I mean, there's always surprises. You can set your intentions and you want this and you want that and you're hoping for this and you're hoping for that and you're gonna, kind of target these things and you probably will get some of those things, but every time there's a surprise and people are like this man, he said, I feel like he's like a happy person now. And he hadn't experienced himself that way. And he looks kind of sparkly and twinkly. We're at week 3, just finished our third session. And last week, just after 2 weeks, when we got on the Zoom, he looked like there was a light shining from the inside out. He
Ah,
physically different, kind of
nice.
sparkly and twinkly. And then when he starts talking, he's like, and he said, and I'm so attracted to my wife. And, like all of this stuff was starting, but he's just like, oh, this is amazing. But he's not high. He's going, he's driving, work, kids, all of that stuff. But it does, it makes you more of who you are. And there's almost a remembering, a waking up that happens because it doesn't really make you into something different. It pulls out more of who you truly are. And I always say, and people joke, like it makes us nicer versions of ourselves. And I
That's
don't mean
good.
since I just mean in general, it does. It's like you're kind of a better version of yourself. That's how I feel like it's been for me too. And I feel like I'm more assertive. I'm more, people find that they kind of take less shit, right? They just take less shit. You're just like, oh gosh, no, I'm not. I'm not. I can't play this anymore. I'm done. So, and then with the deep dive, it's magnified, right? So it's this very, and the deep dive is medium to high dose. It's like the tripping journey, right? It's the big experience. And with my clients, I start everybody on microdosing, the deep dive people as well. So it's a 2 month experience. So the first month we're doing preparation, and they're microdosing for probably 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And that's for a few reasons. One, a lot of people that come to me have never done this before.
Right.
And so it's a way to kind of say, oh, okay. And also we can figure out dosing better. But they can experience, and it's not so scary if you're like, oh, okay. Right. I get,
Right.
and there's so much importance to developing it. And again, this sounds like some crazy talk, developing a relationship with the mushrooms. It is truly part of it. And there's a back and forth that happens. And so with the microdosing and with the preparation for the deep dive, part of that is developing that relationship. So you're listening, right? And because the mushrooms, they're gonna take you places that you maybe didn't ask for, or you probably didn't ask for. And sometimes it's really challenging. Sometimes it's really beautiful. Often the challenging is beautiful, but it's challenging. And yeah, so we prepare for a month, and then the experience itself. And again, people come. I have some people local, but most of the people are from away. They don't live here. So these people stay in an Airbnb for a minimum of 3 nights. So Friday night, we do an in-person preparation here. I do the work here, dinner, we set the altar. It's just lovely. And then the journey day, we're together between 8 and 12 hours, depending on whatever's needed. We end when we're finished. There's no cutoff. And then the third day back together for in-person integration here. And that's usually, 3 hours, 2 to 3, whatever, however long it takes. Um, and the preparation, all of it's really important. The integration and preparation are very, very important because the journeys are often challenging, and people don't talk about that, I think, quite as much as we should.
Mhm.
Uh, or that could be helpful, because we think of it, it's going to be like one love, I'm talking to God, everything's beautiful. That is what happens for some people, but
Right.
not everybody. And even if you have that, sometimes or often there's challenge in there too. So, yeah, yeah. So all of the journey is huge and important, and the preparation and the integration are also really, really important, because with the integration, making sense of what happened and then applying it to your life, and then applying it to how you walk on this planet, and
Mm.
how to take the meaning and actually do something with it once you've digested it. Yeah.
And so, can people do this experience over and over again, or is this sort of a one-time thing, or
Both, either. So,
whatever you
uh,
want kind of
yeah,
thing?
I think mostly it's a good, it could be a good, I think mostly it's a good thing to do it more than once, because at least for me, I feel like it's progressive. I feel like my journeys build on each other. And now I understand my journeys more. My journeys are very challenging. I have a lot of, like a lot of grief and death and past life and a lot of that stuff. Mine, I cry a lot in mine. And now I understand the first one, because I haven't been doing this my whole life, right? This is when my first big journey. I mean, I did mushrooms as a teenager twice, didn't really count. I mean, it was like recreational, but in this way, medicinally. So it's really just been the last 3 years that I've been doing this. And my first big journey, it was incredible. And I experienced dead, not death. And I experienced myself as this ancient, ancient person. And it was so much. And now I know to kind of expect those themes. So when I'm in it, I feel like I can soak it in more. And actually, my last journey, I died at least 5 times, and I was present for the whole death process. It was really
Wow.
interesting. It was at least five. It was more than five, but I clearly remember five. And then in that journey, I was able to do what lucid journeying. I was able to steer it. And I'm a lucid
Nice.
dreamer too, but I was able to, not during the whole thing, but there's this one section in there where I actually could direct where I was going and what I was, and also my journeys and my dream life have connected.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I now journey material and journey experience, I experience it in my sleep and my dreaming. And then I'll have this thing that's like message in my dreams and boom. And then I wake up, I'm like, okay, got it. Yeah, it's so interesting. And my last client too, I didn't even tell her about that, but she has merged her dream life and the journey work. I don't even know what that's called, but
Cool.
it's
So would it be like astral traveling then? Like when you're in that dream state sort of thing? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
sometimes it is. Sometimes it's very, a couple of clients ago, I had a client, she went through, she said 5 to 600 past lives. Yeah. And it can feel like you're gone for 100 years. Time
Wow.
bends all over the place. When people come out, it's like when you tell them it's only been, a few hours, it's like mind blowing. That woman literally went through 5 to 600 lives, past
Yeah.
lives. And
Wow.
it was the time of her death in each of those lives. And she was exhausted. She said, I feel like I just ran 3 marathons. She was exhausted, exhausted. And that's not how it always is. Like every time it's different.
Yeah, it'd
Every
be different for everybody depending on what it is you need, right? What
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And hers was, hers made a lot of sense for her and it was really, really hard. And she got a clear message, don't do this again in her journey. Don't do another.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. First person I've ever had, it was really clear. Nope, don't do it again. I'm like,
Wow.
I suggest you listen. That's what I said to her. I
Yeah.
suggest you listen.
Well, it's a sacred medicine, right? So when you're doing these things, I think when you get those messages, yeah, that is a pretty profound message to get that you're like, you got what you needed from this, and there's other paths potentially for you to go down, right? To
Yeah.
experience what you need to experience.
And so people start microdosing at some point after their journey. That's part of it, right? And so and I'd said, yeah, listen to yourself. If you shouldn't microdose, don't microdose. She decided to try it one day and it was horrible. And she had been microdosing. She's been in a few of my programs. Microdosing, she was very good for her. So that one time she's like, ew. And so she tried it again. And I said, listen, I said, it's clearly a no for you.
Yeah.
Don't even microdose. It doesn't matter.
Right.
There's nothing. Why? Right. So she's not now. So that was the other answer to your question. Sometimes it's more you have part of what we are doing is really learning to listen. That's one of the essential components
Hmm.
is learning to listen, both to ourselves and to whatever's coming from whatever you believe. It's that combination of, listening to yourself and to the not me, whatever that is,
Yeah.
the of God, however you want to
Right.
describe it. Yeah. And this, and the mushrooms are really, really, really effective at teaching us that. Really effective. Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's amazing. And I think that, you're journeying and I think you're not done. Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like there's so much more traveling for you and just exploring some different things because it seems like just talking to you is like all this ancestral stuff is going to start weaving its way into your life kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think, it'll be interesting to see where you journey from here on out kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm actually heading back to Ireland again. Um,
Nice.
yeah, go back and um because it's also, and the client that got the message, don't do medicine, there are so many access points to all of this stuff, and mushrooms are one way, but my experience in Ireland it truly was one of the most powerful journeys I've ever I knew it was going to be, but like there's so many access points to this, and it's really exciting for me, and um I don't know, just so expansive in these directions that I didn't actually know existed. I didn't know some of this existed. And for instance, in Ireland, I felt so this thing about like people that the people that had gone before us that nobody remembers. It's like that thing, the last time somebody says our name on this planet before we go into whatever the
Abyss.
the abyss, when you're no longer remembered, right? Like
Right.
there's a point and nobody remembers you. And I felt so connected into that layer, right? I felt so connected into the forgotten and just the regular people that we don't even hear about in history. And pieces like that that um I hadn't experienced that particular realm before. So I got that really strongly in Ireland. Those people, the folks, right? The
Yeah.
folks of the
Yeah.
world that just disappear and are not gone, but gone. And yeah, so there's so many parallels and all of this kind of loops together. And the mushrooms have been incredible in my life. And um, so mysterious at the same time, and um, wildly powerful. And I describe it as like you get slingshotted out there, and then you got to flap your wings, right? So you can have this big experience, and then you can just plop down and keep going, or you can take the material and really go into it and incorporate it into who you are and how you're being on this planet, especially now with the world as it is in our country in particular. It's so important. And with my clients, that's a part of what I talk with them about. Okay, great. You had this wonderful experience. You got all this insight. You're living better. You're happier. Things are better. Now take it out there. Take it out to the world and do something because we've got to help,
Yeah.
right? We need to leave this, if we can, better than we found it. And especially as women, I feel like that's, I mean, everybody, but I feel particular pull towards this time in history where women we're stepping forward in a new way, and it's actually an ancient way. It's like pre-Christianity way, right? We're coming forward in this strength that we must, and it's needed, and it's time, and we can see that and touch it, and that's what's happening, and it's really so amazing and cool to be a part of that. I'd like you all with what you're sharing too, the other ways that are very female and feminine,
Yes.
these other ways, and bringing them back and shining the light on them, and like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I agree with that. And I think there is a real pull for women to do that. And it's funny because I find it so interesting how a lot of people are going back to be pushed forward, like and back, not just, yesterday or the day, but we're needing that knowledge and that stuff that was pre-Christianity and into the paganism and some of that
yep.
stuff. We need that stuff in order to move ourselves forward in today's day and age.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why the women, men too, but I think predominantly women are being called to some of these things.
I agree. And I
Yeah.
do feel like it's a remembering. It's waking it up in us, but it's all in there, right? It's in our blood, it's in our bones. It's been passed down. Maybe it's watered down by now because but it's there. And I think that is, and it's so good we're talking about it. And I feel like what I need to stop doing is saying this stuff sounds crazy because it diminishes it. So it does. But like, as I'm sitting here with you two, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not gonna put it in that category. I don't care if it sounds crazy, and maybe it does to some people, but it's not. It's the way it used to be. And women, we used to be so in our power, and we were not, yeah, the last 2000 years have done women some damage
Yeah.
That's right.
to it. We've said yes. We've said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's time women started to, be their own person and stand up for themselves. It's really important. It guides you in the right direction for you, because we're so used to doing things to please the other people. That's what we've done as women.
Yep.
And when you start saying to yourself, no, it's about pleasing me too, maybe even first, so that, sort of like when you're in the airplane, put the oxygen on you first, right? It's take care of us first, and then everything else will just fall into place, right?
It's
So
so
it's not crazy.
not
No. Not
it's
crazy. I was talking to the mushrooms outside on my lawn yesterday when I was mowing my lawn, and I all of a sudden come up and there's all these mushrooms. I'm like, run, fairies, run. And then I said to my husband later, I said, if the neighbors heard me, they probably thought, is that lady crazy? And then I'm out talking to the birds. Hello, my friends. And he goes, I would just say, that's my wife. Right? That's part of who I am, right? But it's what I believe. So I think
yeah.
we say that out loud. It's crazy or that because we don't know how to bring that out to these normal folks.
I agree,
This is
but
just,
because it does sound like in today's society, it could sound a little, and some of the stuff that has happened to me, and I'm not even going to use that word because I'm really going to stop doing that. I'm just declaring that with you two right now. Because so here's another one. Last summer, I went to strike a match, a wooden match. I hadn't even touched the thing where you strike. The
Yeah.
match lit in my fingers.
Oh, cool. That's
Right.
magic.
Oh, so, and you say these things. And then when I was in Ireland, I was at a pub with these people I had met, and I was not touching the table. I was not touching my beer. Literally, the beer jumps off the table and smashes on the floor. And I was just like, I wasn't even near the beer. And the bar guy comes over to sweep it up, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I was apologized. I'm like, I don't even know what happened. And he said, it's the ghost. He says this. And then about an hour later, at the table next to us, again, nobody's touching the beer. I could see in my peripheral vision, a beer literally jumps off, lands in the same spot that mine did. Now that sounds the C word. And
Right. But they're more open to that, right? There. So,
yeah,
and yeah, I think, okay, we'll make a pact with the three of us. We're not going to
yeah,
use that word anymore.
word. Because you know what that does is it keeps us living in the shadows.
Yeah.
And
yes, it does.
right,
Yes,
no more, no more
no,
living in the shadows with this,
Yeah.
right?
mhm, yeah,
That's
mhm,
what it is. And let them judge us. Let them
Yeah.
whatever, laugh, think it's silly. Yeah.
Yeah. As
label
we're
us and all the
growing and
rest of it.
expanding. So I,
Yeah,
And we're
they're going to
multiplying.
label.
Huh?
People are going to do it anyway, so you might as well just be yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, just
Yeah,
yeah. And we're multiplying, which is great, right? This is becoming, we know that this is how important it is, and that the magic side of things, and that the unseen, right? That those other realms are true,
yeah,
Mhm.
true. And
Yeah.
so why not connect with it? And I sometimes I don't feel afraid, but I guess it's overwhelmed. But sometimes maybe there is a little fear sometimes because it feels so big, and some of it feels really new to me, although it's familiar. But it's like, what's happening? There's a piece that's like, what is all of this, and how do I how do I manage it well? Because I
Mhm.
want to do a good job, right? And I want to, but I don't, yeah. And that's why I think the other day when I my vision got blurry, I feel like that was a really clear message about you need to stay clear. You've got to keep your eyes open and don't get blurry because I think it had to do with a specific situation where I got a little blurry and now when what you said about the bats, but I think that these things we can learn from strange messages
Hmm.
and maybe those are the most important ones really to learn from
Yeah.
and try to decipher.
Point too with the bat, it's saying to you, slow down. They're so quickly moving. And, it's just slowing down because I was really busy when it happened because I was coming back out and like, oh, sort of thing. And so I think what it's saying is slow down. That way we're going to really see what's in front of us, right?
Did it make you pause like that and slow down when your back came? Like what?
Yeah, it was sort of like, whoa. And then I sort of looked because it was gone so fast, right? And you knew it was a bat just from the sound of it and everything else, only
Were
because
they
when I was a
black?
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we had some bats and that around when I was a kid. So, I mean, I knew it was a bat and I thought, whoa, it's daylight. But I
That's so,
slowed right down.
yeah. But that you got that yesterday too. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it is. And here
Yeah.
we are.
Huh? So okay. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 It's also
Definitely
fascinating.
meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No such thing as a coincidence on that or
Yeah.
anything, right?
It's
Yeah, pretty cool.
That
and the
is.
more
Well, you've really told us a lot about you. The way you told it today about microdosing and things like that, it was so gentle, and you walked us through it in such a nice way that anybody that was thinking about microdosing, I think, that would think to themselves, "Hey, that might be something I want to do to get back into the real me." You know, we're all looking for to feel our passion to be the best we can be at this time in our lives, right? Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, 70 in my case. I mean, yeah, I think that each one is just telling us we need to be our own people, you know, and
so
be the best at it.
come back home. That's what it feels like. It's like coming home to
Yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
and 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 that honesty, right? Learning to listen to ourselves and learning to really be honest
yeah,
in terms with what we want, with what we don't want, with how we want to conduct ourselves on this planet, all of those things. And and I feel like I was lost for a long time. I didn't realize that things were fine. I was good, but where I'm coming from now is really different. It feels very different. And it is a combination of things. It's age, definitely, but the mushrooms have been a really powerful element to my life. And I also think too, you can microdose on your own and do just take it. But I do have to say though, doing it with a coach or with and even and I'm not like bragging, but like the way that I do it with people is also specific. It's not just taking a pill because you can do that, but it's like anything else when you're doing things with intentionality, right? And with ritual, because part of the microdosing, people create ritual around it and connecting with the mushroom. So it's not just taking a pill. And you can do that. You see what I'm saying? But that
yeah,
it's more
yeah,
than that. So yes, it's the mushrooms, but also I have clients that I have a couple people that did the deep dive with no mushrooms. It wasn't safe for them. We did the whole thing, the whole 2 month program, the whole preparation, journey day, all of that, no mushrooms at all. So there's sometimes it's not, people can't take them, and we can still do all of this without the
right,
and if you're going to do the mushrooms, my thing is, and I feel like a gatekeeper, respect, reverence, right? Mindfully in relationship with the mushrooms, really listening, tuning into yourself, experiencing it in this really as fully as possible. And that does take slowing down and it takes listening and it takes, doing more than popping a pill,
yeah,
Mhm.
right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, can you tell everybody where they can find you if they want to do this or just want to follow along on your journey?
Ah, I'm on Instagram. What is my Instagram? Pam Rivers Guide. And I am on Substack, also Pam Rivers Guide. I put some of my writing in there. I've got some Ireland pieces. I don't have a website, but my email, we can pop that into. My email is pamriversguide@gmail.com. So all of my clients come to me word of mouth. I don't have a website or advertise, and it's good that way. I like it that way.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm so happy to answer questions too from people if they have wonderings. And part of what we do is we screen to make sure it's safe because it's not safe for everybody. So that's um, part of why, yeah, if people have questions about that. So yeah, Instagram guide, Substack, and my email, pamriversguide@gmail.com.
Oh,
Wonderful. So if you had a final word to say with everybody to leave with, what would it be?
It would be to listen to yourself, learn, continue to learn to listen deeply. Listen to yourself, but what comes through that is connections from whatever those forces are. They come through us, but they come from it's a deeper place. And so to really honestly listen and start to move from that changes so much around happiness, around how we are in the world, how we are
right.
not. And so that listening and honesty is attainable. It really is. There's a path. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. It was such an honor to be with you again. Mom and I know we both just love having you on. So we'd love to have you on again when you've done some of these more journeys in your
Yeah.
path and see where you're going. So,
Well, yeah. And oh God, the bat story. I'm so glad we both had bats yesterday.
yes, me too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Take
Yeah.
It was a
care.
pleasure.
And everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet you will.